Okay, I'm live. Hello everyone. How are you all doing? Can you all hear me? Let's start with that. I've pinned today's Notion document in the live stream live feed, and it's also already in the description for the video. And you'll notice it's a Novelcrafter link, but that'll just take you straight to the Notion document. We're just trying to tidy things up, so don't worry about that. We got you all good. But yeah, hello. So this is a slightly later timed stream, and it's going to um, just be for the hour. So we're going to try and cram more in, but see how it goes. And then maybe also be doing a stream later in the week, kind of more appropriate for um, those of you who are in like American time zones. So it's going to be a late night for me, but we're going to do that hopefully with a guest. So keep your ears, eyes peeled, everything peeled, potatoes, for the announcement about that stream. But yes, morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. And yeah, let's get started. So this is kind of the we've spent a lot of time kind of preparing our novel and going through all the different kind of like kind of almost like pre-developmental edits, like doing them before we've written the book, using our novel kind of outline as context. But now we're gonna just dive in and start writing. And so this next batch of episodes in the series are going to go into kind of like how to use Novelcrafter to kind of once you've got your plan to start writing. And then we're going to look a little bit at the text replacement prompts in later sessions and kind of just start plugging through. But this session is on the first chapter beats. It's on how to kind of get those formatted, and we've got some new prompts to share with y'all in the document, and also kind of the value of beginning to write yourself before going with the AI. So like I will show you this because I was doing some testing, like, to make sure that this would work, and it's crazy. Like it's really nice to see kind of the vindication of actually what your input and how it influences the AI. So yeah, okay. So I've included on here some kind of helpful links. So there's the past. I think the first one is from the Red Riding Hood Beats class, and that spoke about. We tested different styles of beats that you've seen in the short form video, and then there's the. I'm guessing the next one will be the document for um the oh my goodness words, cozy mystery. Completely forgot what I did then. Yeah, so the cozy mystery, and so you can look back at past lessons if you don't want to have to check out 4 hours worth of live streams. There's also a document. The third document is the kind of script I used for one of the short form beats videos if you prefer to read, and then we've included a link to kind of any Novelcrafter videos we've already done on beats. Okay, so that's our kind of catch up, and yeah, I'll just get started in. Seems like there's a good amount of you here, so yeah, let's begin. Okay, first of all, I think is a thing that a lot of writers, like I know I had issues with this when I first started writing with AI because it wasn't how I thought when I wrote. But like, what is a beat? And essentially, a beat is a short set of instructions that kind of detail what happens in like a single moment of a story. So it's like kind of like a summary, but depending on the type of beat, it can encompass other stuff. But think of it as like a summary, like a very like micro detailed, like you. This is the telling, not showing of writing the beat. Like you're just telling what happens, and then you pop it into prose later on. So we're gonna have a brief interlude. Reverse engineering beats. So I like to think about like my writing and Well, kind of when I was making the fine tunes, I noticed, like, we noticed in general that there was um, a difference in the quality of output depending on whether we wrote our own beats or if we got the AI to summarize the prose to make a beat. I think that's because often we summarize things a lot more concisely because we have a filter of what we believe is important. So I've included this kind of 400-ish word chunk of prose that I've written as like the first beat for this story. Um, and then in the next paragraph or the next like drop down, I've included how I would summarize it if I was to like summarize it as a beat. And then we have here, so I use the general purpose prompt. I kind of basically gave the AI, told it what a beat was. Please write a single story beat for the following prose. And then we can see here the different outputs from various models. There is a little bit crossed out in Sonnet because it got a detail wrong, but I thought I wanted to include it so that you could see kind of where it had not quite summarized. But all of them have done a good job. They're just a lot longer, so it's a lot more telly, and so I kind of see that as almost like a guide for, so if this is what it took the text for to then put as a summary, it might be that to get prose nearer to what you want, you have to be a little bit more descriptive in your beats. But that's for more of if you want more control over your writing. If you kind of are more a pantser and you just want to see how things go ahead. Just put a short thing in, and like you'll find it really inspires your creativity. Okay. So yeah, you can check all this out here. But how do we work out what our next beat is? So kind of like how do we like take the overall flow of beats and kind of get it to work? Because a lot of the times, like if you just ask GPT or Claude or whatever to just be like that, you kind of like it'll come out kind of weird. Like they will give you beats, but it won't be they won't be meaty enough to kind of show everything that you personally would want to encompass in a chapter. So I kind of like when I make my beats, I tend to have an idea of how I want a scene to play out because I'm quite a heavy plotter. And so, however, I'll tweak as I go. But Corey this week has been doing some amazing work making us a new prompt. So I'm really excited to kind of like debut it here. And so if you want to copy it, you can copy from here, go on to prompts, then click new and create from clipboard. And that string of letters is basically like a shorthand way of doing the prompt with all the models. So you'll keep all the models that he has selected and all the text in there. So everything is like duplicated. So it's a brilliant way of sharing your prompts with other people. Okay. Jean-Luc says that Sonnet's been behaving strangely on occasion. Yeah, I've seen that like a few times, like with different prompts. It's not been wowing me as much as it has in the past, which kind of makes me wonder: have we got a Claude 2.1 scenario? Hopefully not. But we'll see. So yeah, so Corey has now written a nice little bit for us, which goes hand in hand with the prompt. So I don't know if you'll have heard of the scene sequel method. Let me. So yeah, so the scene and sequel are two types of written passages used by authors to advance the plot in a story. So scenes propel it forward, and sequels are kind of like a reaction. I I like that, and I kind of like it always reminds me of that when I read this progression that Corey has kind of has developed for us. Hey Joe. So we have a character has a goal, the goal leads to a conflict, the conflict leads to an outcome, either good or bad. Then there is a reaction to that. The reaction leads to a dilemma, and then that dilemma leads to a decision, which then leads to a further goal, and then it keeps going. So this could be split over multiple chapters. If especially if like I don't know if it's like a you could have like a as a longer form, or if it was a fight scene, you might have multiple of these within a chapter, and that's kind of like up to you for it's up to you to kind of determine what pacing you want. However, using this is really good for getting a good start with AI. We've also trying to kind of fix the tie up. We've included a little bit extra in the prompt that gives kind of like a prompt for the AI to kind of add a little bit of a cliffhanger on the end of the chapter. So if we go into version 5. So you're a helpful expert plot outline assistant. Whenever you're given a scene or chapter summary, develop a list of detailed scene beats. Don't be vague, write out specific ideas. So we've got this that we were just talking about. We then have the random cliffhanger. So the AI will choose the random cliffhanger, which kind of also adds a bit of surprise for you, but you can also use this. You could then ask as a follow-up question, give me 5 more cliffhangers that I could use. So you don't have to go with what the AI is saying. It's just kind of adding a way to try and tie up the scene without it doing boitis. So yes, let's see how this goes. So I've been playing around with this a little bit. So here we have, I've included the large kind of chapter summary that we were working on. This can all be found. So we've got chapter summary, the detailed summary, and then I also tried some abbreviated summaries with this. And then we have some work. So we've got different versions. You can kind of read through these a little bit, like in your own time. It'll be quicker, I think, than me reading them out. However, you can see that in the detailed summary, there is much more. So, like, Perrin comes in a lot later because, so in this. So in the chapter summary, there's a large amount on the fixing and the sabotage, and then afterwards, at the very end, Perrin comes along with his sniffer dog. However, in the abbreviated summary, a lot of that is kind of skimmed over, and so the proportion of which Perrin and the sniffer dog are actually there becomes much more prominent, and so that reflects in the beats that are generated. So it's kind of worth keeping that in mind, like when you give a chapter summary for beats to be made, pace it in the way that you would pace the chapter. Like if something's only going to happen at the end, don't mention it loads, because otherwise, because the AI doesn't know that's what you're thinking. So yeah, and I kind of like how, depending on how much different detail you put in, there very much is a different emphasis that the AI thinks of the conflicts. So here in this one with the detailed summary, it takes the conflict as the Delilah's impatience during the broadcast, whereas in the shorter summary, where it's kind of very quickly glossed over, the conflict is finding the earring and a clue to the saboteur. So now I would probably do something that's in between. Like I probably wouldn't pick either myself. However, it's interesting to see kind of that you have all these different iterations, and you can just click retry, or please go again, or just start another conversation, and it will give you a lot of options. So what I'm going to do now is I've started working on kitbashing. I think because I was testing out the prompts, I had about 10 different versions of this. So I've started work on kitbashing these. So I'm going to go, I've been doing it in the right interface, and then I've got a snippet as well with some of the bits that I need to put in. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit, and then we're going to go on to actually using the beats and doing 2 sample chapters. So one will use my prose at the beginning, and one will use AI generated prose at the beginning, and then I think we're going to do like a compare and contrast. So if there's anything you guys notice, it would be great to kind of like compile like a mini like spark notes on it all. You can tell, so there's definitely some like insatiable curiosity that in all these summaries has very much become like a AIism. Um, Delilah quickly recognizes the cut wires and the deliberate nature of the sabotage. I'm going to say and concludes its sabotage. Mainly because, like, of course, it's sabotage. By curiosity, she opens sabotaged the not the wires, I guess the power in the, and then I've added a location for this. I had an acronym and I cannot remember what it is. Infrastructure hubs. PDAC. And PDAC stands for Power Distribution and Control Center. So that's kind of like the main, where how to divert the power to different areas of the city. Not necessarily driven by curiosity. Finding the source of the smell. Opens at the panel. I'm going to say creating a lull as the clanking of daily life stops. Delilah, however, uses the opportunity to search for a snack in her pocket, irritated at the enforced downtime. Before she can take a bite, the lights flicker back on, restoring yeah. Zora from a distance calls out to Delilah. Back to the task at hand, and she reluctantly gets back to work. Who's got? Like some of these beats, because they're AI generated, they are a little bit more wordy than I'd like, so I'll probably cut them down a little bit more, but I'm kind of curious to see how it goes as well. Having the although I suppose that would be a good chance to and how they impact on the city. Works efficiently. Back to these. She keeps thinking about the sabotage. Okay. Taking away her tools into her belt, Delilah realizes that the bolt that fell wasn't a bolt, it was a earring. She pockets it. A bolt falls and hits. Okay, before she can look at the earring, the cable securing Delilah around her waist pulls her back towards the entrance. Urging, it goes to take a closer look at the earring that she can see. But before she can inspect it, pockets. Then emerging from the tunnel, Miller encounters hears them talking and learns that the man's name is Perrin. uneasily fend for making up and leave. And lets her go with a wave of his. The bearing again and recognizes the engraving on the gold, on the silver metal. It belongs to her sister, and then that like is the conclusion of the first chapter, I think. Okay, so then I want to make sure that I kitbash this little bit in. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy with that. Let me. So I pressed Control A twice, because if you do Control A once, it'll just go over a paragraph, whereas if you do it twice, it will do the entire chapter. So I will put this here for you. My plan. Actually, just gonna pop that in here because I'm not gonna. So a lot of the times you could have like your scene beats here in your scene summary. However, it's not going to access that. So I like to, I will end up putting them here. However, we're going to do an experiment. So we've got our two scenes. So we're going to have, my bad. Can I rename subtitle? This is the one with Kate-Prose. To start, and then this is the one, I guess, No-Kate-Prose. And what I will do as well is to ensure that the previous chapter doesn't influence this chapter, I will switch their order as we go along. But I'm just gonna. So to do the shortcut, I'm doing Control Shift and then the little line / backward dash, and then press space, and it comes up. I'm just creating these lines as well because if you don't, the beats end up being next to each other, and I don't aesthetically like that for my mind. I prefer there to be a space. Okay. So for this first, for the Kate-Prose, this first scene beat hasn't quite finished. As you can see, like we end up with her finding the sabotage, but this bit hasn't happened yet. So I'm going to put that this bit at the top, and then I will add a new scene beat to include that and some of the next and this next bit. But before we continue, I will also show you I use So I've got my my current prompt. You can copy here. It's a slightly adapted version of the one from Space, which I've included on here. And there is the prose style guide, which I've put as Delilah's scenes are succinct, filled with attitude and casual comments on what she sees. While she uses proper grammar, scenes from her perspective are conversational, and her running commentary is forever on the move. My prompt as well, current writing prompt, includes the genre and the theme, and then also some little bits on like avoiding certain stuff. So we'll see how well that works. Before I begin, does anyone have any questions? Here are my AI-isms list. Prose style guide. My theme. These are both global entries. And I think I will start with the Kate Prose version. See how it goes. I also did some character prep, so I've included some different bits about the buildings and the characters if you wanted to reference them. Um, I was going to use Sonnet, but if that's been playing up recently. Still go Sonnet? We'll see how Sonnet does. I like Sonnet. I mean, I like Opus better, but money. Let's go current writing prompt. We can try Sonnet and then also try Opus, maybe. And not Opus, 4.0. See how that goes for mimicking style. So things I'm looking for here are how well it continues on from the previous beat, kind of what I feel how I feel the voices, and if it's followed the beat itself. I'm gonna click apply. Okay, if it's acting up more in chat than prose, that's fine. Brilliant. So we've got before she can delve deeper, the overhead lights flicker off, signaling the start of the Daily Archon's broadcast. Delilah grumbles about the inconvenience, annoyed at the interruption. The broadcast compels all the workers to cease their activities and listen intently, creating a lull as the yada yada. She looks for a snack. The lights flicker back on. Okay, so I will. Let's see. So the sight before Delilah didn't fill her with much hope. The base of the panel was a molten mess, smoking wires poking out plastic gunk. She sniffed cautiously. Whilst lack of ventilation hid the exact time of sabotage, the damage didn't feel old. She felt the edges of the casing, finding the plastic supple to the touch and still warm. The overhead lights flickered, plunging Delilah into darkness. She froze, hand still resting on the melted panel as the familiar droning voice of the Archon crackled through unseen speakers. Blessed are those who walk the path of righteousness. I feel like that's probably Archon, the title, filling in that. So Delilah rolled her eyes, as if that pretentious windbag knew anything about being righteous. She fumbled in her pocket, fingers closing around the stale protein bar, as the Archon's platitudes washed over her. Ripping it open with her teeth, she took a bite, the dry crumbs sticking in her throat. For a few blessed moments, the only sounds were the Archon's muffled ramblings and her own chewing. No clanging machinery, no shouts from overseers, just blissful quiet. Then the lights blinked back on, harsh and unforgiving. Delilah! Zora's shrill voice shattered the calm. Have you found anything yet? Delilah swallowed hard, the protein bar turning into sawdust in her mouth, back to the grind. She peered closer at the ruined circuitry, prodding gingerly at the still warm plastic. Fresh damage, no question. But who had sabotaged the power grid, and why? A dozen potential culprits sprang to mind, rebels and disgruntled workers and even bored kids looking for kicks. But none of the usual suspects fit. This was too precise, too surgical. No wanton destruction, just a strategic strike to cripple the system. Nicodemus's words from a few nights ago echoed in her mind. There are bigger players in this game than you realise, girl. People with plans that stretch back decades, maybe centuries. At the time, she dismissed it as the ravings of a paranoid old man. But now? Delilah's gaze drifted up to the scorched panel, taking in the melted components and frayed wiring. This wasn't some random act of vandalism. This was a calculated move in a much larger game. Her fingers tightened around the power cable as a shiver ran down her spine. Take a drink. Whatever was happening here, she was a mere pawn. One of the real players wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice. Delilah, Zora's voice cut through her thoughts, much more insistent now. What's the prognosis? Delilah took a breath, shoving aside her unease as she always did, one problem at a time. It's going to take some work, she called back, already reaching for her tools, but I'll have it sorted. For now, at least. But as she set to work repairing the latest damage, she couldn't... Okay, so this last paragraph, just get rid of. Like, that's all 99% of the time with AI. Like, the issue with AI wrapping things up is it's kind of trained in a question-answer format. So imagine if you were asking for a recipe and the recipe cut out mid, like, your cake being in the oven and you didn't know how long you had to leave it in for. Like, that wouldn't be great. And so it's kind of like, I feel like every time we're asking it to cut off early, it's kind of trying to go against its will. However, if you do a... let me just try this again with my... So this is with a fine-tuned prompt I've done, where I've fine-tuned the model to answer not completely. So I think this will kind of just show how different it is. Yeah. So you can see here it's finished mid kind of broadcast, as it were. I will put this into the document for you all, and then we're going to do the where the AI has done both beats, and we'll kind of do a compare and contrast. That goes. Okay, so then what I will do to ensure that it doesn't mess anything up, I'm sticking this at the front, so that means there's no way that it's reading because it's not reading back. So go back into the ordinary world, up here. So then we go current writing prose, sonnet. Okay, so I'm going to put the prose here. So you can kind of compare the two versions. I'd kind of like to know, like, not going to be offended at all. Is there a... Do you have a preference at all? Like, you know, it'd be interesting to know. I kind of feel like my prose style has helped with this. I'm just gonna... Let's just see how different the prose is without the style guide. Okay, interesting. So let me put the prose style guide back. So I mean, obviously this paragraph is just a thing. the style guide has definitely made a difference, I think. Whatever caused this reek, it couldn't be good. I do like how Sonnet brings up different facts from the past. Yeah, I don't like to Jean-Luc. I don't like that it doesn't have any especially because it does. I suppose it doesn't mention it in that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of the last paragraph again, and I'm going to generate the next section. Of course, it's kind of then started repeating things. Okay, it has got some dialogue. That's nice now. I feel like there's some interesting dialogue, but it's kind of missing something. You know, when you kind of like it. Like, also, she's in a tunnel. She ain't seeing any faces, so there's yeah. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I prefer the prose that came out here than I do for this second one. What do you guys think? So I think in the same vein, I might. Okay, so I'm going to archive this original scene and then go to this new one, back to my original. And I'm going to edit this and then continue going through. So we've got 15 minutes. So I'm going to see what I can get done in 15 minutes. Do any of you have any questions about the stuff that we've done so far today? Because I can answer them as I'm doing this. If you want me to. So this prompt technically asks for a good ratio of like at least 30% dialogue. So it's not exactly like it should, you know. It shouldn't be doing this. Okay. Oh Oh yeah, of course. This was the I was so confused then for a moment. That's the Kate fine tune one. So to Blink of an Eye, who asks, do you use rephrase prompts at this stage to improve the output and or add dialogue? So currently I do a mix. My favorite rephrase prompt would be a my fine tune one. However, that's gonna be next week's topic, so we're gonna go through that more next week. But we are gonna cover that. I kind of like I use a mix. I kind of sometimes forget about using prompts for the rephrasing. Long until the Oh, so for Nakua, to create the box for Kitbashing, if you go onto your like side panel snippets, you can open up a snippet and then press this pin icon at the top, and then that pins it to the side, and then I tend to minimize the sidebar. I just should have had to untangle the wires. Um, Plastic. Bird planning. And I feel like that's good because then it kind of introduces the town or the like the city as well. Bless those what as if that pretentious windbag knew anything about being righteous. She fumbled in her pockets. Fingers closing around a stale protein bar as the Archon's platitudes washed over her. Ripping it open with her teeth. Um, okay, so some bits I'm going to have to remove, like, because obviously. Um, Who would want? Okay, so then that's again starting to imply at the cold. And it wasn't it wasn't precise or surgical. I would get rid of some of this, which is fine. So pretty as you. It's interesting how pour into the packaging with her teeth up in both, like ripping it open with her teeth. Like it seems to have an idea of what it wants. Okay, that will do. Okay, let's do one more time and get the next. I should have included a before and after. I Oh no, I have. Ah, amazing. Prose before, prose after edits. Then if you want to, you can see like what I've edited. Cool. Current writing. Yeah, and a final call for questions if anyone has them. If not, I will do this little bit and then we can head off. But next week, I'm definitely going to be doing some work on like kind of taking a chapter that we've generated and using different prompts. So like if anyone has any prompts that they want to share in the Discord community, that would also be really cool, and I can try some of them out. Kind of just showcase what we have with editing and kind of adding in, say if we wanted to do like a micro beat in the middle of there to add in a bit extra, we could do that. Hmm. Yeah. I think not meant to know it's Kira's. Yeah, I'll work that out later. Okay, it's 5 o'clock now, so I will head off. But thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to the stream that might be happening later this week, and of course for Saturday's stream where we will go over. I think what I will do is finish this chapter, and then like in my time, yeah, we're entering overtime. But yeah, we'll finish this chapter and then I will like off camera and then I'll come back with it kind of like in a preliminary state and do like some edits and some like different techniques that we can do and like show off different Novelcrafter prompts. And yeah, it'll be a bit of fun, I think. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed yourself. Um, and enjoy your breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you end up eating. Um, yeah. Bye.